Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely stream deck. For more information about the stream deck, the link is in the description below.
Hello everyone and welcome to Apex Online Racing Formula 1 action. We are here today in Interlagos for round number 13 for the PC European F1 Championship. The Brazilian Grand Prix is brought to you by our sponsors, Elgato, SimSock, and Driver61. I am Fizzymon and I will be your host today, and alongside me, as always, is Benikage. Benny, how are you feeling about today's race? Last one on the books. Should be a fun one, right?
Yeah, absolutely. A legendary track. And what has been an absolutely fantastic season so far. Really looking forward to this one.
I do agree. Now, we do have a slight delay. One of the drivers is showing up a little late, so we have decided to delay the race by a few minutes' time. And so, in the meantime, we're going to go through and talk about the current F1 Championship standings, and then Benny is going to walk us through all the other tiers' championship standings. Now, unfortunately, we do not have graphics for that at the moment, but we'll try to get something together as we go to highlight our current champions across the board. Now, looking at Tier 1, as we all saw last week when we were here on AOR, Jan Fehler is our Tier 1 champion, 160 points to his name in the McLaren, ahead of Ripson, who jumps up into second place. But we have a very close battle for second. Ripson with a 1-point advantage over F1 Racer after they're coming together in Imola. Sarah, who did not race last week, drops down 2 positions to 4th with 108 points, looking to get another win to his name, possibly jumping back up onto the podium for the season. Goat Tudor and his Haas holding on to 5th place after that big wreck that brought out the safety car last week. And Darn, who was unable to participate, still holds on to 6th place with 86 points. But right behind him is last week's race winner, Patrick, his teammate, as the Williams pair looks to challenge for the Constructors' title. Krusix down a position in 8th after also disconnecting from the lobby. Hopefully he does not have those kind of issues today. Field Racing Seb up to 9th place, jumping his teammate Kev Genetics for 10th. Now, that is currently our Drivers' Championship. Over to the battle that's still brewing. It's the Constructors' Championship. At the top, McLaren F1 team, 168 points, only 2 ahead of Williams Racing. But Scuderia Ferrari closing the gap after Gelvan's podium last week with 157 points. It's a 3-way battle for the title, with even Alfa Romeo having an outside shot down at 4th, but the top 3 teams looking to battle it out. Last race of the season, and as of right now, I do not believe Donut Hole's going to be able to race today, so Jan Fehler is going to have to do it all for the McLaren team. The Williams duo of Darn and Patrick have been electric all season long. However, there's been a little bit of inconsistency with the two of them, which has resulted in them struggling to take the outright lead of the championship, and Scuderia Ferrari with some very good form as of late once Gelvan got the full-time seat. And F1 Racer's been very, very strong. Now, Alfa Romeo, like I said, in 4th place, 130 points. Trying to hold off the Alpine team is up 2 places into 5th with 121 points, as Ural Kali Haas and Scuderia AlphaTauri each drop a position into 6th and 7th respectively. But the battle for 5th and even 4th is still on, but it's going to be tough. Red Bull holding on to 8th place, Mercedes in 9th, and Aston Martin still rounding out the top 10 this week. Now, Benny, I believe you have some information about the other tiers champions or championship battles going on, and we're going to let you take it away for the time being.
Absolutely. We're going to start with Tier 2 here for the PC Leagues. Matty 29, 147 points. He's level on points over Taisu, who also is on 147, and it is really just the second place finish for Matty from China that on the season that has kept him ahead on countback. So those two drivers duking it out for the driver's title. In the constructors, Alpine already wrapped things up at the top ahead of Red Bull Racing. Williams is also secured in third position. No higher can they finish, so that's tier 2. Over to tier 3 for PC. Creepy Drive is just head and shoulders above the rest of the field. 7 wins on the season has secured him the driver's title with quite a few races to spare as we head into the final race weekend. 237 points for him over Mulchian with 151 in the team's standings. Aston Martin have just secured top spot, 260 points after the last race of the season, ahead of Alfa Romeo, who's going to try and fend off Haas for second place this weekend. Over to tier 4 for the PCs. Gard, he is at the top right now, 149 points. He has secured his championship as well. But actually, I beg your pardon, I don't know because they haven't updated the standings for tier 4. It's still outstanding from China, and then Hmiel, and then obviously Interlagos. But he was 45 points ahead in that championship going into the Chinese race, but ahead of SLI, mind you. In the team's standings, Scuderia AlphaTauri were 10 points ahead of McLaren, who are only 3 points ahead of Alpine. So that's tier 4 as it stands. Tier 5. Max Duca, 182 points. He is the champion. He is at the top over Cine, 39 points ahead. Peruna in third is going to try and hold on to that third place position with Victor Wasa and Tom JD also within striking distance. In the team standings, Alfa Romeo at the top, 53 points ahead of Williams. They have secured it, locked it up. So Alfa Romeo are the constructors champions for tier 5. Tier 6 now. Luzio has come in at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and he placed third there and at Paul Ricard. He hasn't looked back since. He's absolutely won every race since then, 7 in a row to win the drivers' titles despite missing the first 3 races of the season. And he is the champion over Jerseas, who is on 146 points, just trying to hold on to second place. He is 16 ahead of Arfa. In the team standings, Red Bull Racing 10 points ahead of Aston Martin going into the final race of the season, who are only 18 ahead of Mercedes, so all to play for between the top 3 there in tier 6. So that's the main leagues done. Over to the assist leagues. Tier 1, Avi at the top, 199 points. He is the champion. McBlurk on 159, trying to hold on to second place ahead of Tom, who is only 9 points back. In the team standings, McLaren F1 team are 27 ahead of Scuderia AlphaTauri, so they are looking to win out today in that constructors title. Tier 2, Beyond, with he's not won a race all season, Beyond, but he has finished in second place 7 times and another third place podium is going to land him the driver's title without winning a single race ahead of Sizorp, who is on 107. He's just a point ahead of Rocco, and then Sinex is only 4 back from him. So it's still all to play for the top 4 really in the drivers' championship. In the constructors, Scuderia AlphaTauri is ahead by 13 points over McLaren. So those two are going to duke it out in the constructors. Tier 3, Catalini, with 4 wins on the season, 4 third places and a second, is going to be leading the drivers' championship by 24 points. He needs just a 9th place finish to secure the drivers' title ahead of Delta, who is the only man in contention for that title. McLaren in the constructors are 28 points ahead of Alfa Romeo as well. Those two are going to be duking it out for tier 3. Tier 4, Woztek is going to be 23 points ahead of Archer after a DNF at Imola. Archer coming out to win that race. He's going to need more of the same luck, though. 23 points, quite a good gap. He's also level on points with Metza, who he is ahead only on count back by an additional race win. So all to play for there in tier 4. For the constructors in that tier, Red Bull Racing Honda are ahead of Aston Martin by 29 points. Those two teams are going to be looking to secure the title today as well. And then tier 5 for the assist leagues. Daniel at the top. He's won the title, 170 points. Messiah Complex is coming in second place. He is 25 points ahead of Spicy Ninja, so needs just a 10th place to secure that second place finish. In the constructors, 230 points for Mercedes, 39 ahead of McLaren. So not many points needed for Mercedes to secure the title here today. Looking to do just that. Over to the PlayStation leagues, mind you. We have got Jero Schriff, who is That's probably horribly pronunciated, but my Dutch is not very great, so forgive me. But he is the drivers' champion with 4 race wins on the season. He is going to finish with 263 points ahead of Solid Ninja Snake, who is on 190 in the teams. In the constructors, Alpine at the top already secured the title, 430 points. Aston Martin on 216, are 29 ahead of Red Bull, looking to secure second place today. Over for Tier 2, Worthingtonio. He has got 4 race wins on the season, and that has pushed him 10 points ahead of Andre Ivan, who was looking to chase him down in the driver's title today. In the team's construct, those are the only 2 drivers in contention, mind you. Super Jesse, 30.5 points back of them. Alpha Tauri is the lead champion of the constructors over Aston Martin by 77 points, who are trying to lock in second place over Red Bull Racing, who are 20 or 39 points back, I should say. Tier 3, now for PlayStation, No Mercy is at the top. He is 27 points ahead. He is the champion. He has locked it in with the 4th place finish at Imola. So F1 fan Liam is going to be in second place, 20 points ahead of Zolio, who is looking to try and pip him to that second place finish in the constructors. McLaren, 42 points ahead of Mercedes. So just about locked up. They just need a few points to really push it over the line. McLaren today. Mercedes is locked up second place. Over to the assist leagues for PlayStation now. Gobert Limitless, he is on 221 points. He is the champion again, despite not starting at Imola, as Alexander can only finish in 4th in that previous race. So Alexander 7 points ahead of now of Ernest in second place, looking to lock that up. But nonetheless, it is Gobert who is the champion. Mercedes 74 points ahead of McLaren. They have locked in first place, but McLaren trying to get second. They're only 8 points ahead of the Williams team. And then Tier 2 for PlayStation, Levelat is on 219 points. He is the champion. He came into the season halfway through, mind you. His first race was at Zandvoort, and he's won 2 and placed 3rd in another podium, and placed 3rd, I should say, in another race. He has come in and won the title. It is FRF Clans who is in second place, just a point ahead of Deadfly Biscuit, looking to lock in second place today. In the constructors, Ferrari 353 points. Then Mercedes and Williams are level in second on 178. Haas is only on 172, and then there's Red Bull on 166. And Aston Martin on 155. So really a huge amount of movement can be had in that constructors in Tier 2 for the assists for PlayStation. And finally, our last league, the Xbox League, SRT MK47 is at the top. He is the champion, 268 points over Limpjet, who has leapfrogged over Harland into second place with a win at Imola last weekend. So 24 points ahead of Harlan. And just 2 needed, just a 10th or just a 9th place needed for Limpjet to secure second place. He has had 1 finish outside the top 9 so far this season. In the constructors, Ferrari 25 points ahead of Alpine, with Williams only 7 back. Those 3 going to duke it out for the constructors title here today as well over in the Xbox leagues. And that's a recap of all your AOR racing leagues.
Great job, Benny. Great job going through that. It was definitely a lot to hear, and you nailed it perfectly. Hopefully everyone got the gist of it. Now, end of the season, we should be doing a graphic that should show off all the championship champions. I was actually kind of getting that started while we were discussing, but right now, drivers getting into the lobby, getting ready to go. We got a mostly full grid today. Should be a very, very exciting race to see. And yeah, I am very looking forward to seeing how today goes. Should be a lot of fun. So yeah, I think we just got to hold on to our hats, folks, and it's just going to be an exciting race because Sao Paulo always brings some fantastic racing. I don't even know of a bad race that we've ever had here, to be honest, because normally Brazil, even in real life, in the game, it doesn't matter. Always a fun track, Benny. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just a fantastic track. A lot of tricky, that middle sector is really kind of the tricky part of this track. It will test a little bit of your technical abilities, and then if you're really just a fan of speed, sectors 1 and 2 will give it to you. So a little bit for everyone here at Carlos Pace, but certainly a great venue to end the season on.
Yes, I do definitely agree on that. Great venue to end the season. It's definitely been a very, very fun one. We're waiting for the cars to go to the grid and to leave the lobby. Now, let's place some bets here. All right, we're gonna see it now. Do we think now, considering the reputation of Brazil, do we think we're gonna have any rain? And if so, what are you betting on? Let's place a nice friendly little wager of who's right and who's wrong.
I don't think there's a race that goes by here at this track where it's not somewhat affected by rain, especially title deciders. Any of you F1 fans who have been watching for at least over a decade will know. But yeah, I think you're going to get a little bit of rain at some point this weekend.
I do agree. I think we'll get it. Excuse me. I'm thinking we're gonna get a wet qualifying, dry race. I think that's what my bet's gonna be, and we'll see how that works. I actually just realized this. Down in Tier 4, who of course hasn't updated their results in a while, which is definitely going to make it hard for these championship graphics. Actually, no, just kidding. They have updated the results. But in AL4, there's 3 drivers that could technically win the title right now. We have Wojtek at the front, Evson, Archer, and Metza. That's pretty close. So good job to those guys. Hopefully the best man wins, and it doesn't come down to any penalty decisions. But for the meantime, we have in our tier, we have McLaren, Williams, and Ferrari. I heard you saying, let's go Williams. Is that who you're sticking with as we load into the lobby now? Or are you thinking, maybe that's who you're cheering for, but you're not sure if they can pull it out? What are your thoughts there?
I think it's going to be a difficult one for Williams to pull out, even though they're only 2 points back. I think it depends on Donut Hall's performance, really. He's only finished in the points 3 times so far this season, so it depends. Darn and Patrick have got. I mean, just great performance by Patrick last weekend, but Darn needs to find a little bit more consistency. He's going to hate me saying that, so forgive me, Darn, but. 2 12s to 10th, 3 DNFs as well. It's just if they have that consistency this weekend, Fizzy, I think Williams will take the title. But if they have any sort of problems like they've had in those weekends, then Jan Fehler's probably going to wrap it up for McLaren.
Well, we are now into the lobby, and I do have an update for you. Dry qualifying, dry race. So that'll be interesting. Full dries. We'll have to keep an eye on what tires everyone used to start on. Let me make sure I turn on my game volume. Don't need that to, be muted for the first couple minutes like it was, I think, either last week or 2 weeks ago. I think I accidentally had this stuff muted. But yeah, we'll see how they go. We got our first car out on the track. I believe that's Flouty. Yeah, our Flouty. He debuted last week at Imola. Wasn't his best result. Got into a few incidents. He's looking to rectify that here in Sao Paulo at Interlagos on the soft tires. Now, one thing to note, Benny, because of how short of a lap here is, these drivers could do 4 laps. They could do 1 on all 3 sets of softs they have and on the set of mediums. However, what's going to really, dictate how this goes is not the wear, because the wear around here is relatively low. It should be an easy soft, medium, soft race, but it's going to be the overheating. So drivers can't really do back-to-back laps without overheating one of their tires. Usually the front right rear can also overheat as well. But we'll see real quick. If you see drivers locking up going into turn 12 and 13, that is certainly what's going to be happening. So we're going to actually ride on board here with Flouty, let him take it away for the first lap of the session. We'll give him the nice, beautiful screen. Keep an eye on his sector time. Going into turn 1, braking after the 50-meter board, down to 3rd gear, hitting the apex. He missed it a little bit there. Short shifting up to 5th to help with the traction. Not the fastest line. You can see him actually short shifting a lot up the gears, hugging the left-hand side of the track, flat out into turn number 4. So 16.7 first sector, not bad, but he can certainly find 2 more tenths there. Now going through 5, flat out, hugging the left-hand side of the track for the shortest line, but now it's really quick through turn 6, holding 6th gear, trying to get on the throttle as soon as very early, but he goes a little wide, didn't get the rotation he needed in the corner, and invalidated his lap. He's going to back out of that lap. But that just goes to show, Benny, you could just see how hard it is to really nail a lap around here. You really need to use the whole track and sometimes you use a bit too much, and you get the invalidation.
It's pretty unforgiving, this track. It's in terms of at least the grip in some areas. The Senna S is particularly a little bit of a tricky point, and then obviously the elevation changes going through sector 2, especially that turn 10, that Bico de Pato turn. It really is very bumpy. It can really loosen the carb and can swing you wider than you want to coming out of that turn. So unfortunate to have invalidated the lap, but of course going to have another go of it shortly.
Yes, as Galaxies, that's the first time of the session of 107.7. That'll surely be beat soon enough. Armate actually matches his teammate to the millisecond. Hats off to that, and Ripson on the mediums does a 107.8, 3 times off pole. Or sorry, no, 108.0, excuse me. But F1 Racer starts setting the benchmark, 107.0. I do expect the times to go into the 6s. I actually got a little bit of a scouting report. I know Jan Fehler can do as fast as a 6.2, so do expect pole to be in the low 6s here today. Gelvan does a 110.2. Rivershed goes even slower, or faster, as however you would like to put it with the memes, with a 122.3 as the first laps come through. Let's actually ride on board with Jan Fehler here for this lap. Let him take it away and see what he can do around Sao Paulo. So like we said, braking very late into turn 1, locks up the left front a little bit, but gets the good rotation, short shifting up to 5th gear through 2 and now through 3, flat out left-hander, hugging the left side. If you cut across that white line too soon, Benny, you actually invalidate the lap. But now into turn 4, braking at around the 50-meter board, down to 4th gear, short shifting up to 5th, flat out, gets a little squirmy on the curve. That might have cost him half a tenth there. But now through turn 6, how brave will he go? Down to 6th gear, eats the apex curve. Now through 7, using all the track, doesn't go too wide. 3rd gear through 8, goes a little deep, might have locked up the right front there, which might have hurt his tires, but short shifting up to 4th on the exit of 9, and now through the tricky turn 10, goes all the way down to 2nd, get that extra rotation. He might be struggling a little bit with the right front overheating by the looks of it. But now, through 11th and 12, it's going to be 51 middle sector. He is flying right now. 4th gear on exit, flat out from here on out through 13, 14, and 15. What does Jan Fehler have to his name as he comes flat out to the line, DRS wide open? It's going to be a 106.6. That's a very, very fast banker lap.
Yeah, really, really solid lap. He's done so well there. He really stuck it in around the curve here too, right here where he's driving through now. He really hung it in there, but just enough to the white line without going over. And you know, that's going to be very difficult to beat that lap. It's possible to get down to the 106s for some of these other drivers, certainly, but that's a very solid lap from Jan Fehler, especially through the middle sector as well. He just managed to find grip where others seem to be struggling early on.
Now, one thing we will note on the side, we're going to keep an eye on Kev Genetics. I just noticed he's lagging a little bit on my screen, that's for sure, and I noticed that it was reported he was lagging on someone else's screen as well. So keep an eye on that, because it would be unfortunate if he suffered a lag attack, but he's really like teleporting back right now. So I'm going to quickly report that as well, because we don't want to see one of our drivers, you know, have a lot of issues. And he actually just spun coming into the pits. Not sure if that was intentional or lag, but you know, you never want to see a driver, you know, struggle, you know, due to the fact that there is lag or whatnot. He was actually entering the pits, so that was, I think, his, yeah, so he's having a little bit of desync issues or lag. So he's aware of it. Hopefully it doesn't go too bad. We'll keep an eye on that, of course. Sauerbraten, meanwhile, up into 4th position right now. Max into 5th and Patrick into 3rd. So we'll keep an eye on this situation.
Yeah, I tell you what, Patrick, you know, strong performance last weekend. He's followed up so far with another strong lap time, at least for qualifying. 107.0 is only is good enough for 3rd. So certainly you can feel you can find more time, but I'll see if you can do just that on a 2nd run. Speaking of runs, Krusik is on one right now. He is on a hot lap. I don't think this is an in lap. I'm pretty sure it's a hot lap.
No, it isn't. But Ripson is on a hot lap, though.
He put in like a 55, like 2nd sector, and I'm like, this has got to be a hot lap. But yeah, Ripson is on a hot lap, and 16, well, oh, I'm sorry, a 50.5 for his middle sector, 9/10 up on his previous time. So that's put him in contention right there for like top 3 right now. If he finds a little bit more time through this third sector, here he comes up through the final turn. He's just hugging the left side of the wall, and it's a 107.0. So he's the 3rd driver to get into the 107 flats. Jan, of course, better than that though, and it's good enough for 4th. Fizzy Ripson, not a bad lap, but certainly time to be found out there.
Yes, I know Jan Fair loves this track, so he's going to give it his all. So it's not surprising to see him at the front. We're definitely a little surprising to see some of these drivers not as quick, but I think we keep an eye on Patrick. He had a really good lap around Hmiel. Krusix as well. I'm sure both of those drivers look like they can do much better. F1 Racer's been pretty good. But KevGenX says he thinks he might have fixed the problem, but hopefully he did, because, yeah, that lag was pretty bad. I don't know if you noticed it, but he was, like, stationary on track, and then he teleported, like, a whole straightaway down, and that could cause some major issues. So hopefully
he was heading down to turn 1 for me, and then all of a sudden he just teleported into the pits. So
yeah, I saw that one too. Actually, he was also in turn 3, stopped on track when failure after he finished his first lap, and then all of a sudden he was in turn 4 where Patrick is now. Patrick actually just went purple in the first sector, so let's keep an eye on the Williams driver. When it comes to Sector Delta, he's actually got F1 Racer just a little bit behind the road as well. Sector Delta, so Jan Failure was a 50.1 at the end of Sector 2. So if someone comes at the end of Sector 2 around that marker, you know they're going to be challenging for pole position. So keep an eye on that. Sector 1 should be about a 0.4, 0.5 would be really quick as well. But now Patrick, end of Sector 2, he's a 50.3. So not purple like the map says, but as he gets a little squirmy on exit, he's still improving by a little bit. But can he nail the final corner? It looked like he nailed turn number 12, but it's flat out to the line now. It's going to be a 106.9, a 10.5 improvement up to P2. But F1 Racer is actually, sorry, that was Gelbavan who was behind him. Excuse me. Gelbavan is improving, though. He's up 2.5 seconds off of his 110.3, trying to put it in the top 4. It's a 106.7 for Gelbavan. That's a mighty lap by the Ferrari driver, who's within a 10th of pole all of a sudden.
I think if the Williams wants to compete here, they should think about maybe collectively going out there and getting a slipstream going, getting a tow going, because this straight is incredibly long, and if they can get it going on the outlap all the way down towards turn 1, maybe that'll be enough time for Patrick to make up to compete with Gelbavan and Jan Failure. They're running out of time to do that, though. 7 minutes still on the clock, so we'll see if that's something that Williams
speaking of Jan Failure, he's on a lap right now. I said purple sector 2. Don't know if that was a visual glitch or not. But the German driver, our current Tier 1 champion, is going to cross the line, stretch his lead to a 106.4, almost 2/10 improvement there. He saw Gelbavan's lap and said, here, let me one up that. KevGenX has left the session. We'll see if we can get him back in here as soon as possible. Hopefully he gets his internet relatively fixed out. He might be resetting it real quick. But, you know, never what you want to see, a driver struggling with technical difficulties. Now, who else is on a lap? Is Krusix on a lap? No.
Sauerbratten's on a lap.
Sauerbraten is on a lap. Let's see, Sector 2. It's a 50.8. He's not improving. So we'll see if the Airborne driver sticks with it this lap around. We got the Airborne fans once again in the chat. Always good to have you guys this season. You've been great all season long. And your drivers have been fantastic too, currently running 2nd and 4th in the championship. Sauerbraten does not improve this time around, though.
No, just not enough time in that middle sector. Looks like that's where a lot of time has been lost. So we'll see if he can improve.
He is giving his teammate a tow right here, though. Trying to give Ripson about a 1/2 tenth to a tenth down the back straight. Not sure if it'll be enough. It's a slight improvement for Ripson, but I don't think there was enough straight on the second DRS straight to really make it beneficial.
No, it's not long enough. That's why I'm like, if you do it on the outlap, like if you were to commit on the outlap and give the tow down to turn 1, that's a lot of time that you can gain up on that straight. But nonetheless, still, you use anything you possibly can, and Ripson going to get a little bit of a tow. He's actually on a flying lap now, so let's see as he approaches this Sector 2 time if he can get anywhere near towards this pole position. He's on 50.3. He's a 10th better than his previous time now.
That's what Gelblevan did, though, last time, so keep an eye on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So coming around the final turns now, of course, he's got to nail this final corner. It's so tough. You could very easily invalidate the lap there. And it's a 106.9, so he improves by almost 2/10. It's good enough for P4. He nestles right in between Krusik and Patrick, but not close enough to really contest Paulo and Jan. It seems like that 106.4 could stick for Paulo.
Yes, as Max jumps up into 10th place and Tudor up into 8th. You know, I mentioned that Ripson was on about a similar lap as what Gelblevan is. Well, Gelblevan was on. It was a 50.33 middle sector. I don't know if maybe Ripson maybe, you know, overheated his right front, went a little wide, because if you overheat the right front by locking up into turn 8, so we'll keep an eye on Gelblevan now, but if you overheat that right front at all during the lap, it just gets worse and worse and worse. And coming into turn 12, you can lose a lot of time if the tire's overheated there. Now, that being said, we don't know if Ripson overheated the tire or if Gelblevan's running a very low wing setup, because he got 2/10 on the airborne driver in the final sector. Yes, 2/10. So if Gelblevan's running a low wing setup, he might be set up very nicely for the race, because lower wings, I mean, you might not have the raw pace, but man, no one's going to pass you coming out of turn 12 into turn 1.
A 50.8, by the way, for Flauty, who's one of 3 drivers yet to set a time. So this lap is looking a little slow. We'll see if it is, and it is going to be quite a slower lap. 107.4 for Flauty. I'd say it's a little bit slower. The whole field's within a second of each other. That's how tight this course does get because of just the short nature of it and the pure speed on 2 straights. So Flauty into 13th position right now, and
Darn's on a lap, yeah.
Yeah, Darn is on a lap, and he's improving. We'll see if he can do just that across the line as he crosses it. Now it's a 106.9, so he does. He settles right behind his teammate, who's also on a 106.9. So the 2 Williams have nestled themselves right in the center of the top 10.
Yes, very, very good so far. Galaxy starting his, what would probably be his final flying lap. Now, Gelblevan, I was keeping an eye on him while we were talking about Darn and Flauty. Gelblevan was about half a tenth improved, but then lost the rear coming out of 12th. Not sure if he has another set of softs to use, but he lost the rear, overheated the tires, and did not improve. Came back into the pits. He's going to have time for one more run. But let's keep an eye on Galaxy, who's been the man to watch. He's been on a really good form, but he just invalidated going wide, so I just clearly jinxed him. But Galaxy's been doing really good these last few races. Let's see what the Red Bull driver can put together here in Brazil. He's only down in 12th, but the reverse strategy is not too bad if you can keep within DRS range of the field. Overtaking might be hard, but, you know, softs at the end, they're going to be mighty quick.
Right? Why race F1 when you can race F2? Reverse grid. There you go.
That's true. That is true.
Still, you know, it's unfortunate that he's invalidated the lap. Krusik, by the way, on a flying lap. It looks like he, oh no, he's not. He's pulled out. He's 2.5 seconds slower. So my bad. He is not on a flying lap. Although Jan Fehler, Gelblevan, they're all coming out for one final go. Who else is on a flying lap here? Is that F1 Racers on a flying lap, or is he pulled out?
He has pulled out. So one of the things, the minimum fuel around here is still about 3-point-something laps of fuel. So if you do 2 out laps, you can burn just that little bit extra fuel, which, you know, it could be half a tenth right there. You know, it is a pretty big difference, but, you know, you have to make sure you don't, like, put too much wear on the tires, because if you do improve, you're going to have to start the race on those tires, and you don't want to start on that Warnick compound of tires. So Darn has retired from the session in the pits. He knows he won't improve because he's had his final lap time relatively late in the session. Now, let's keep an eye on the drivers at hand. Krusik's actually starting his next lap right now. With all these drivers doing 2 out laps, it's kind of throwing me off as to who's actually where.
Yeah.
So
Sal Rotten did a hot lap, by the way. He improved to a 107.0. So he's right ahead of Go Tudor. He pushed his Tudor down into 9th.
And actually, Galaxy put him down into 10th. How about that?
Yeah.
Seb starts his final lap. He decided to do 2 out laps. Looks like we have Rivershan. No, that was a Max. Max has jumped up into P4. Very good lap by the Mercedes driver. Up into the top 4. Next up is Patrick. Patrick barely improved through the middle sector. He does get a 10th and some change. He's up in the 4th with a 106 8th. Now, Krusix invalidated his current lap right now. He was improving, but he will not improve from 3rd place. Next up, it looks like it's Ripson. Ripson invalidated his lap, but he's got enough time to go once more as the checkered flag now waves. Armate next across the line. He will improve, stays P12 though. Now, is it Gelbavad? No, it's F1 Racer who comes home with the 106.6. He will not improve. Sauerbrann's into the pit, so is Flouty. Next up, I believe, is now Rivershan. Yes, it is Rivershan. He wasn't improved through the middle sector, but what does he have here? Decay and Gelbavad, however, knock off Failer. He does not improve through the final sector. Failer, though, is running up to the line. He got a very nice toe from Tudor, and it's a 106.2 for our champion. Tudor stays 11th. Next up is Field Racing Seb. He has invalidated his lap. It would have been a 106.9. Very unfortunate there. Max is next. Max is back into the pits. Galaxy currently running in 10th. He is not improving. His session is over. Is anyone else on the lap? Patrick is into the pits right now. I believe that is session over. Flouty is currently on a lap. No, Flouty is on a lap. Can Flouty improve from P13? No, he cannot. That is Curtains. Jan Failer on pole with a 106.2 ahead of the Ferraris. Now, remember I said the Ferraris have a shot. They're only, about less than a dozen points behind the McLarens, and they are currently sitting 2nd and 3rd place. So, as it stands, if the race were to start, and finish like it would in, say Belgium, they don't really do anything from qualifying, Failer would pick up the 25 points. Ferrari's 18 and 15 points respectively. So McLaren would stay Constructors champions by about 2 or 3 points, if I'm correct. But very, very close margins at the end there.
Don't make me do the math.
Well, let's put it this way. What's the gap?
You would be correct, actually. Yes, they would be champions by 5 points.
So, all right. So I know Williams to McLaren is 2 points. What's the gap from Ferrari to McLaren? So just so we know. Because I'm going to write that down right now.
The gap from Ferrari to McLaren is 11 points.
Okay, so Mick equals 0. Williams equals -2. Ferrari equals -11. All right, there we go. There is qualifying as it stands. Failer on pole position. F1 Racer alongside him in the Ferrari, starting 2nd, and his teammate Gelbavad right behind in 3rd. Krusix only able to manage 4th place. Patrick in 5th. Max with a good qualifying in 6th. Ripson down in 7th. Darn in 8th. Sauerbrat in 9th. Galaxy rounds out the top 10. Goat Tudor's the first one on a free compound choice of tire choice for the start of the race in 11th. Armate 12th. Flouty in 13th. Rivershan 14th. Seb in 15th. And Kev Genetics does not set a time down in 16th. Very exciting session. Maybe even more exciting race. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. We're going to set up a poll for you guys in the chat on who will win the race. We have Jan Failer on pole, and we have F1 Racer alongside. And then we'll add an other option. So we'll have our 2 front row drivers and then an other. Now, of course, anything can happen. Anything can happen. But you got to look at the qualifying gaps there. Failer did get a nice little toe from the Haas of Tudor. But you look at those gaps, and I think you got to say Failer's the favorite for this race.
Without a doubt, he's just been finding time everywhere where others have not. So, really, it's been a fantastic performance from Failer in qualifying, and he just seems head and shoulders above the pace of all the other drivers. So I would say he's the favorite. I would certainly say the Ferraris have a chance. I think Williams here is just trying to play the team game, just trying to play, for the Constructors title. They need to make up some positions in order to do so, but nonetheless, I think if they can...
Oh, it looks like Failer is disconnected, so we might have a lobby restart. Yes, we are restarting the lobby due to the fact that we had Kev Genetics with DC error. So Failer has determined that we will restart the lobby. So we do have the top 10 in the event of it. Of course, we have people rooting for Ripson in the chat. Not surprised, but however, do remember that usually on Failer, and this is somewhat standard across AOR, the weather stays dynamic, so we could get wet weather for the race. But drivers do have a free choice of setups for the race with a lobby restart because you can't police it. You can't force drivers to run the setups they were in qualifying. So we'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, should be interesting. Hopefully we don't get rain for the driver's sake, but you never know. You never know. I don't want to jinx it saying, it'll stay dry, but at the same time, I'm going to also say it won't be wet, I'm just probably going to, silence and let it do its thing.
I mean, I'm not. I'm gonna say I need it to rain so my prediction is right. 'Cause as of right now, you just don't bet it, or you just whatever I said it was gonna do, you could totally bet against it and make out all right. So I'm gonna need it to rain now just to prove me right. But nonetheless, no, I think you know, rain would make it a lot more tricky, I think. And Brazil's a track that when it rains as well, it's very rare that it rains the entire race. So, any kind of rain that would maybe disrupt the track for 10, 15 minutes in this race could really throw everything up in the air.
I do agree. Excuse me. Yeah, who knows how it's going to go today. It could go anyone's way, like you said, the weather, you never know who is going to be faster in it. Because, we saw, it looked like Elwin might have been running a lower wing setup. So something like that, how does that fare in the wet? We don't know. I personally don't know. I've done 0 wet practice for later today. So America's will definitely be fun. Stay tuned for that. But we just don't know. And, of course, I wish we could, you could somehow, it was like ACC or another game where you could just kind of go from lobby to lobby, because it's based on a server side, and you can kind of see how other tiers are doing with their weather and just overall driver situation. But unfortunately, we do not have that to our disposal. All we can do is simply predict who will do what. But yeah, it should be very, very exciting.
I'm looking forward to it. I think rain would really. I'm doing a rain dance. Might as well have it for the last. I might as well have it for the last race weekend of the season, man.
Yes.
Might as well.
I think you might as well. I'm currently going through and doing some of these results right now. I might have to redo this graphic just with the champions alone, because I was doing some gaps and whatnot. So, you have Jan Fehler, champion, but in Tier 2, you have Maddie 29 and Tisu tied on points. I'll have to go through and redo this later today. Maybe give it to you to run through on tonight's standings. We'll have to, I'll keep it posted. We're going to keep an eye on their invites for when Jan Fehler sends out the new lobby invite, which is right this minute. So that way we can get back into the lobby and be ready to go racing.
Absolutely. So I think Jan Fehler's in a really good position to win this championship for McLaren as well, to take it home. I mean, McLaren have scored 168 points. He scored 160 of them. So almost single-handedly has won the constructors for his team. So we're just waiting on the lobby now, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll be getting live shortly, but nonetheless, it's I think a really interesting fight in the constructors is just between these three at the top, and of course you've got a lot to play for. We talked about the top, but Fizzy, there's a lot to play for in the midfield as well. Alfa Romeo are 38 points off the top, so technically they're still in. The two Ripson drivers are technically still in it, and they could. I mean, it's a long shot, but they are still in with a chance. And the big thing is they're only 9 points ahead of Alpine, 18 ahead of Haas, and 22 ahead of AlphaTauri. So 4th through 7th are also embroiled in quite the battle in the constructors as well for this season. And I would think you would put the favorites down there as being the Alfa Romeos, being the two Ripson drivers. But Tudor's shown he's got quite a bit of pace. He didn't really have it in the qualifying session, but if you can find a little bit more of it in the race, then maybe Haas is going to have something to upset the apple cart in the midfield.
I think you're absolutely right with that logic, because, I mean, you have a couple drivers there. You got Sauerbraten with 2 or 3 race wins, Tudor with 2 race wins, Ripson with a race win, F1 Racer without a race win. So he's a hungry dog right there, starting up at the front, on the front row. So you definitely cannot count him out. But yeah, you're absolutely right in saying that, you know, right, it's wide open, you know, with how it could go, and anyone can win it at this point. And so it'll be really good to see, you know, who comes out on top. But stay tuned. Lobby is being made. Drivers have readied up, actually. So we will be loading back into the session very soon.
Do you have the lobby? Are you in?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I didn't see your name. There you go. There's the invite. I do apologize for that, Benny, as we are getting back into the lobby now.
About to commentate career mode, man.
Yeah, no, that would not be ideal. You'd be talking about like Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo battling for the title, along with other drivers as well. Yeah, that is. it'll be a good one. I think we're in for a treat here today. And yeah, I think we'll see how it goes. Don't forget your setups, as Jan Fehler says. It is very sunny out on track. So I think the drivers will be a little safe from the rain. I'm not gonna say too much, but I think that the drivers right now are sitting in a good shot for a nice dry race. It should all be okay, and I think we're just in for an exciting race.
Don't tell me it's a full dry race again. Don't tell me
I believe it is. Unfortunately for you, I believe it is. I know that's hard for you to hear, as you were rooting for the not the full dry race, but unfortunately it's looking like that's what's gonna be, and I unfortunately just gonna have to deal with it.
Look, I mean, there's still a lot about this racetrack that can really catch drivers who aren't on the top of their game by surprise. You know, the Senna S is always difficult. It's, to me, the Senna S is as well, Fizzy. It's one of those things where a lot of times they say, entry is less important than exit. Exit is always more important. I feel like with the Senna S's, it's almost the opposite. I feel like entry is super important, because if you don't get the entry right going into the Senna S's, that whole series of curves is going to throw you off, just in terms of being able to stick the car to the track.
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, the Senna S's, it's all or nothing for that first sector. You know, you mess up the Senna S's, you're not going to be able to make an overtake out of turn 2 and 3. However, with the same mentality, you're not going to be able to defend. That's the other thing you have to think about. You're not going to be able to defend properly coming out of the Senna S's if you don't get a good run. So that's going to be a really important part of this race. You know, drivers are going to have to make sure they get a good run through there, because you don't want to mess it up. At the same time, you don't want to overheat the tires. A couple drivers just got disqualified from the session.
From the formation lap.
Well, formation lap session, I mean.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we understand the potatoes of that as well. I went through and did a little bit more of that graphic there. It is Fuel Racing Seb and Rivershawn who got disqualified. Not what you want to see. Now, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the tire compounds. Tudor in 11th, starting on the medium compounded tire. Tudor is asking, do I do medium, soft, medium? The chat, apologize for missing that. Army in 12th on the mediums, Flowdy on softs, Kev on softs, Rivershawn and Seb on mediums. So, two drivers going for the early positions, trying to carve up through the medium runners and move up through the grid, while the top 10 all on softs.
I feel like that's a good decision from Kev too, because remember, he disconnected from the, not that it matters anyway because we had to remake the lobby, but just having fresher sets of softs, or what would have been fresher sets of softs, felt like even if we didn't have to reset the lobby, that would have been a really good decision from him.
Yeah, I do agree. Now, another thing to note is that even though we shut the lobby, everyone on the softs is on fresh softs now. The drivers really didn't get that much wear. Probably at most 4, maybe 5% if they did 2 laps on their best tire. And the wear's not a lot around here, so I don't think drivers should be too concerned about that. But what they should be concerned about is that for the final time this season, the lights will go out and we'll begin a Grand Prix here Failure, 4 lights, 5 lights. Who's going to get the better launch? When the lights go out, they go out. It's go, go, go. F1 Racer actually got a pretty good start, but Failure stayed out up ahead. Krusix up the inside of Gelvan in turn 1. Oh, we got drivers off. Oh, that is Ripson and Max making contact in turn number 1. Not sure what happened there because of the camera angle, but the two of them are at the back of the grid. Failure barely holding off from F1 Racer, but look at Patrick. Patrick going for the move on Gelban, the slow starting Ferrari, going up the inside, and the Williams driver has 4th place as Gelban runs a little wide. Gelban down into 5th place. A lot of action here to start the race. What happened turn 1 there? Did you happen to see that?
I didn't. It was just pure mayhem going down into turn 1. So I did not catch it. But Max and Ripson at the bottom of the table right now, at the back of the field. So we'll see if they can find the pace and get back up into it. Max is looking already on closing this gap between him and Rivershawn for 14th place.
Hard to tell if either of them has damage. Ripson might have slight damage. Or they might have, gotten a little bit of contact and they just kind of got stuck together. But either way, unfortunate heartbreak for the Alfa Romeo driver down to 16th and the Mercedes driver who's now in 15th. But Failure leads us away, end of lap 1. 36 lap race. Seems like it's going to be long, but it's a relatively quick race around here in Brazil as F1 Racer working very hard to stay in DRS range as Max makes the move on Rivershawn. But now the DRS train is starting to form, as you can see, as the whole field is within range. But Krusix starting to get dropped already. That's huge. He needs to stay within DRS range come the start of lap 3 when it becomes enabled as a DRS detection point for the run from turns 3 into 4 is in the Senna S's.
Absolutely. Rivershawn, by the way, or Max has made the pass, I should say, on Rivershawn, so he is up into 14th place. Now he's trying to chase down Field Racing Seb. Meanwhile, Kev Genetics has been putting a lot of pressure as well on Tudor in that Haas. Tudor, remember, on the medium compounded tires, so Kev is going to want to really get around this Haas. Kev starting in 16th. He's now up to 11th, looking to just squeak into the points already at the end of lap 3. He's going to get a really good run on this Haas going down into turn 1 as well. Where is Tudor going to defend? 109 flat for Jan Failure, and actually it just does not look like there is enough space. It just looks like the Haas has got a little bit too much toe himself, and so Kev cannot get the move done going down into turn 1.
Ripson making the move on Rivershawn at the back. Jan Failure, as quick as he was on lap 1 there to try to pull away, he was not able to do so. F1 Racer kept DRS range, but that was a mighty first lap. We're going to end the poll here. 40% of you voted F1 Racer, 40% of you voted other, which could be anyone else in the field, and only 30% voted Jan Failure. So I see we got some people in the chat trying to vote for F1 Racer to get his first win of the season. He's had a phenomenal season, so I think that would definitely be deserved. He's actually on course to get 2nd in the Drivers' Championship with Ripson down in 15th and Sauerbraten stuck in 6th place. But both F1 Racer and Krusix, both hungry dogs looking to get their first race of the season. But F1 Racer gets a little bit of a bad run through turn 12. He's actually going to lose DRS down the main straight, which is going to hurt him a lot. Question is, can he get within range come the Senna S's? He's losing time down the front straight. He might be struggling for battery life right now. But this is going to be crucial for the whole race as it stands. Can F1 Racer get DRS range? No, he's still out of it. So he's going to need to have a really strong middle sector as Max makes the move stick on Field Racing Seb for 13th position. Ripson also looking very racy. This is a nice little scrap here for 12th place. Our mate trying to defend. He does not have DRS. Max goes to the inside line. Behind him, Ripson trying to go up the inside of Seb. And they're going 3 wide. Oh, in the background. That's going to be heartbreak. It's not. It was a sandwich. Ripson went up the inside of Seb. Our mate losing 3 positions on the run from into turn number 4. Not what the Red Bull driver wanted.
No, but they've been all over each other going down into turn 1, going down into turn 4 as well. Field Racing Seb has come out the best of the lot, but there is a big gap, by the way, that has formed between Max and Kev Genetics as Gelbwan takes a 3-second time penalty already for track extensions. So, yeah, Field Racing Seb wanting to close down this gap between him and Max, who is on the softer, I should say, compounded tire. But there is no DRS between 12th and 11th. Kev is just putting a lot of pressure under Tudor And it looks like he wants to go for a pass, but he just cannot seem to get there. A lot of gaps to be mindful of, by the way, as well, because Krusix is right on the tail of F1 Racer. He's got DRS. He's going for the pass. And it is going to be Krusix sticking second position, taking it away from F1 Racer.
In the background, we saw Flouty get a little squirmy coming out of 3, got passed by Tudor, and then Kev just cleared him as well. Question now is, with F1 Racer letting Krusix through, essentially, whether it was willingly or not, can Krusix possibly run down Jan Failure? 1.6 is the gap. All you need to get is a half second, and you can get the DRS range. Let that do the rest. Patrick, meanwhile, 1.7 behind the podium place position. So you see the gaps starting to form in the background as the drivers get into stride, really stretching out the field. I'm seeing Krusix right now. It's pretty low on battery. He's only down at 25%. So that'll be interesting. Meanwhile, Tudor in the background lost DRS. He does not have anything to help him defend from both KevGenX and Flouty. This is a very close battle for 9. Tudor's getting absolutely swamped. Gives a little bit of a squeeze on Kev as we have a driver into the pits very early for the pits. I'm not sure who that is. That's Darn. Very early pit stop for the Williams driver. Double overtake on Tudor. KevGenX up in 8th. Flouty down into 9th as they got a little feisty, but there also is nothing between these drivers. Again, on the run into turn number 4. Right now, Kev at the front of this. Flouty going to try to go around the outside of KevGenX. Go side by side, but no, Kev hangs on, brakes later, and hangs on to the position.
It was a wing change, or nose change for Darn, by the way. So front wing damage, Darn got it replaced, and now side by side, by the way, Sauerbraten and Galaxy, the Red Bull and the Alfa Romeo fighting all the way through this middle sector. They're still side by side, and looks like the Alfa Romeo might just be able to squeak this out, and he does. Sauerbraten stays ahead of Galaxy, was all over him in that middle sector.
Yeah, heartbreak for the Williams team and their constructors' aspirations as Darn down in 16th. Patrick only in 5th place right now, stuck behind Gelbad. He actually lost the position to Gelbad as F1 Racer makes the move stick on Krusix as they cross the start-finish line. Lap 7 out of 36. The gap is 1.9 between Failure and F1 Racer at the front as that gap continues to grow. A lot of battling going through the field. I'm not sure how Darn broke his wing. Maybe he broke it on the back of someone. But either way, Tudor trying to make the move on Flouty. It's a pretty good battle here brewing for 9th place. Tudor going around the outside. Krusix picks up a 3-second time penalty. And Tudor's up on Flouty. Flouty down into 10th. But Tudor runs really wide. Is going to have to rejoin very carefully to not lose the rear end.
It looks like Darn collided with Sauerbraten on lap 1 and decided the damage was just too much and he couldn't continue to run with it, so he's come in for the early pit stop. Oh, Darn's in the pit again.
Darn is in the pit
again.
wing
Another
change.
nose change. Oh no, that's disastrous. And he's gone out on a hard compound tire this time. It's just not a quick tire here in Interlagos, and you understand why pitting this early that he's decided to go on to the hards, but it's just disaster for Darn. And the Williams teams, like you said, their aspirations of a constructor's title is almost all but gone now. And we'll see if Darn can get anywhere close back up towards the field. Meanwhile, by the way, Max has made the pass. He's still side by side with Flouty. They're fighting all the way through the center S's, and it is Max who gets ahead of the AlphaTauri. So up 2/10 for Max, but DRS train behind them. These drivers want to make, there's just so much overtaking. Everybody seems hungry on the track for the overtake, but give props to Tudor, by the way, because not
Look
only
at
has he
Ripson though.
maintained-
Ripson going up the inside into turn 6 on Flouty. What a move by the airborne driver. Sorry for cutting you off there. Carry on.
No, it's all good. It's Field Racing 7, Flouty are side by side in the background. My point was going to be give credit to Tudor, who's kept the car in 9th position on the mediums with all the soft runners around him, but nonetheless, side by side still Field Racing 7 and Flouty all the way through sector 2. Who's going to come out on top? The AlphaTauri has the inside line, and the Alpine getting by on the outside. Just looks like that inside line is too strong, although really good run out the corner maybe from Flouty here. It could be the move, but he is just going to slot behind to try and get
Seb gets DRS though, as Patrick makes the move on Gelvan into turn number 1, and Seb has that position easy as you'd like. Lots of stuff going on, like you're saying. Failer's still trying to run away at the front. Max actually battling Ripson. They're going side by side. Armate picks up a time penalty. Ripson and Max both have DRS, but Ripson's got a little bit more battery to burn as he has the overspeed. He's back up into 10th position, the airborne driver on the charge through the field right now.
And I don't know if they made contact. They might have. I saw one car get loose, really jerk away from the other and get loose. I believe it was Max that kind of jerked his wheel to the right to get away from Ripson, but Ripson has the position. So the Alfa Romeo still in charge here between these two and still into the points. They're fighting over the last points paying position, but I'll tell you what, he's at a quiet race at the front. That's Jan Failer, and this is played right into his hands in both the constructors and, well, I mean, the drivers has already settled, but this is played right into his hands in terms of the constructors championship. This Krusix now with DRS makes the pass on F1 Racer for second.
Yep, these two drivers battling it out. You have Sauerbraten and Patrick going side by side. Patrick falling victim a little bit, might have, struggling for tires a little bit, but Sauerbraten is through. But he's going to have to defend from the Williams driver. He's got the DRS, but Patrick's right on that gearbox. He's going to go to the inside line, backed out of it, and stays in 6th place. Ripson, meanwhile, on the move, like they were saying in the chat. He's up into 9th. Easy overtake on Tudor on lap number 10. Can the airborne driver now run down Kev Genetics, who's put 2.3 seconds on this little battle that he was in just only a few laps ago.
Yeah, you feel heartbroken for Darn as well, because you figure he's got a lot of pace. He's on the hards. I understand that tire's not very pacey itself, but you figure with the pit stops he's going to gain a bit of time. But if Failer catches him and he gets into blue flag territory, it could really just pretty much end the race for Darn. So it's just big battle coming through again. Sauerbraten, Patrick, Galaxy, they're fighting it out for this 5th position, 5th and 4th position, but it is going to be Gelbon who remains in 4th ahead of the Alfa Romeo Sauerbraten. So a lot of fighting. Armate, meanwhile, in the back, looks like he's made a pass for side by side still actually for P14.
Oh, they're both around!
Oh no!
There's some debris on track. The Red Bull driver losing his left end plate. Both drivers giving everything they had. Got a little too hot on his Armate, struggling to get the tires lowered on temp as he loses the rear end a little bit. That's a yellow flag through sector 1 and 2. Marshall's going out to collect the end plate. No safety car, no VSC either. So that was very key as we go back. Green flag conditions, but Armate's going to have to pit. It'll give Darn a little bit of company perhaps, but not what you want to see if you are the Red Bull driver, that's for sure.
Not what you want to see if you're Darn. I mean, I don't think Darn wants company, quite frankly. But yeah, it does help him a little bit. So he's obviously it's lopped off quite a bit of time between him and Armate. Armate just trying to nurse that thing back to the pits right now. As Patrick, meanwhile, I mean, these guys have been fighting really with everything they've got in this midfield. Patrick, Sauerbraten, Galaxy, and Kev Genetics, and Patrick trying to gain on Sauerbraten. Sauerbraten was way too far off of Gelbon, so the DRS is only going to get him close, but it's not going to put him in a position to overtake as they head out of turn 5 and now up the hill towards 6.
This battle for 4th place is actually interesting because Kev Genetics is almost in DRS range. He's run these guys down just because of the nature of the fact these guys have been battling. It's cost them enough time to allow for the Alpine driver to catch up. Now, it's lap 12 out of 36, so Ripson's spinning right now. Armate's spinning. He was on the mediums, which is not what you want to see, but the pit window is now open for these drivers on the soft. So who's going to opt to come to for an early pit stop? The undercut, very powerful around here. Who will go for the jump as Darn does get the move on overtake by the nature of a pit stop. But it's going to be, it's going to be very close here. Who's going to dive into the pits because they use the pit entry on the run down to turn number 1 down the main straight. No one dives into the pits this time around.
Yeah, we'll have to see when these pit stops are being made. I would say that's the other thing too as well, by the way. F1 Racer and Krusix fighting has kind of allowed Jan Failer to really run away at the front of the field. 2.6 seconds the gap now from the leader back to 2nd place, but it is definitely this battle for fourth that has been the most intriguing one going on. By the way, Tudor trying to stay close to Ripson as well. I mean, he's within 0.3 on the medium compound tire, so he's gonna want to stay close until Ripson decides to pit, which should be within the next lap or two before Tudor really gets unleashed on those mediums.
Yeah, the medium driver, one of several drivers on the medium compound tire, really benefiting from the fact that the softs are starting to fall off now. You know, they're not as quick as they were at the start of the race. The mediums, you only need to go another 10 laps on them, then you're going to pit onto a fresh set of softs, and you'll be able to go to the end of the race. But lap 14 on 36, no one opting to go for the early undercut. Up at the front, though, Sauerbraten and Gelbman side by side. Sauerbraten sending it around the outside of the Ferrari driver. They made contact in turn number 1. Sauerbraten has the position, but Gelbman's going to have the DRS now on the run into turn number 4. Does the Ferrari driver go for a late lunge? He thinks about it, but backs out at the last second.
Yeah, that wasn't really there for him, so the right to back out. It just wasn't really there for him. Flouty into the pits, by the way. Ripson with a time penalty now. And if you're Patrick, you're going to be very, very happy. The 3 drivers in front of you all have time penalties. Kev Genetics has picked one up himself as well. So Patrick got to keep it clean, but he could bring the Williams back into play for, well, maybe at least second in the Constructors title, right? Because first is running away with it at the front of the field. It's 2.9 the gap now for Jan Fehler.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like Jan's gapping F1 racer from Crucix at a steady margin. It seems like certain laps one of the drivers make a mistake, and that's when he pulls away even more. Lap 15 now. There we go. Sauerbraten into the pits. He's going to bite for the undercut behind him. It looks like we have Patrick and Galaxy as well. Drivers into the pits, Max into the pits, Ripson into the pits. Soft runners going for that undercut. Now, on lap 15, now they could go an extra lap or two because of the fresh softs that they got to start on. But yes, the undercut is a go. Crucix back ahead of F1 Racer going into turn number 4. As the AlphaTauri driver, you know, he still is holding on to the podium place at the moment, but if he picks up more penalties, he might start losing out to that battle for 4th that we saw brewing. But everyone leaving to the pits right now. Rivershan actually, after his spin, is now ahead of Sauerbraten, Patrick, and Galaxy. So he's a roadblock for these cars that could hurt their progress as they're trying to undercut the likes of Gelbavand and Kev Genetics. Kev does have DRS on Gelbavand now. But now let's look at our race leaders. Gelbavand picks up another time penalty, so it's heartbreak for the Ferrari drivers. He keeps picking up the penalties. Jan Fehler stays out for another lap. On lap 15, Crucix stays out. F1 Racer goes for the pit. He's going to go for the undercut on his rival, maybe try to reel in Jan Fehler a little bit. Gelbavand going in for the Ferrari double stack as well. Kev stays out. Tudor stays out on his mediums along with Fuel Racing Seb. But let's go back and look at Rivershan. He's getting overtaken by Sauerbraten. Sauerbraten has the DRS. So does Patrick. They're going to be through. Galaxy's going to need to get through as well for his race's sake. Meanwhile, up ahead, F1 Racer miles away. Gelbavand, though, looks like he's going to get undercut by this whole train. Galaxy makes the move up the inside. But look at this. Gelbavand's going to come out well behind these guys. He's going to be out of DRS range of Rivershan alone, so the undercut has worked a miracle for Patrick and Sauerbraten. Patrick, meanwhile, making the move on Sauerbraten into turn number 4. The Williams driver getting a pair of positions and only 2.7 behind F1 Racer now. So this undercut, very, very powerful. So Jan Fehler and Crucix up at the front, staying out, certainly have to come into the pits this time around. Because as it stands, Crucix is going to get massively undercut by F1 Racer. But Jan Fehler does come into the pits. He will not get undercut, but Crucix stays out. So that is interesting. Maybe hoping for a VSC or a safety car or something to help him out here. Kev's into the pits. Tudor stays out, and so does Seb. But yeah, that undercut, really, really powerful.
Had a look at those tires when Jan was pitting, and I'll tell you what, there's a lot of graining on those tires. Those tires are pretty much at their absolute limit. Crucix has got to be very careful because he could be approaching puncture territory as Kev Genetics also pitted. And interesting to note, by the way, Fizzy, is that Max, who had decent pace in the qualifying session, he's decided to go onto the hards. So he's on the hard compound tire as well. Everybody else besides Darn and Armate, the two early pitters, have moved on to the medium. So We'll see if that's, I think that's pretty much going to really hurt Max's chances here, but nonetheless, still that battle in the midfield is the one to watch. Patrick, Sauerbraten, and Galaxy, all within about a second of each other. Patrick trying to lead the way, trying to also break away from Sauerbraten to be able to chase down F1 Racer, who was running at 1 point P2 in this race, and he's 3 seconds up the road from the Williams driver.
Yeah, Cruz looks into the pits. Also, another big loser in the pit window, Gelvin down in 12th. He got passed by Ripson, and it's really fallen off that order there. But let's go ahead and look. Seb and Tudor leading the way, 1 and 2, Tudor up front. Krusak's going to get massively undercut by F1 Racer. He might fall back into Patrick and Sauerbraten's clutches, to be honest. So now it's going to be a 2-horse race with F1 Racer trying to reel down Jan Fehler. Tall order to reel in the champion, but Krusak does not fall into the clutches behind, but he's out of DRS range of his rival in net second place. But now if you're Tudor and you're Seb, you want a safety car. Sorry, I cut you off there. Go on.
Yeah, no, it's all good, because I was going to say Krusak's just stayed out maybe a lap or two too long, really, as F1 Racer's way up the road. But you're absolutely right. You're hoping for a safety car if you're Tudor or Seb, something to help you out at the front, and it hasn't looked likely. We've only had contact once between the two cars, really, and that's why our mate is down in 16th position. But nonetheless, Krusak's here trying to chase down F1 Racer and get in towards fighting for those top 4 positions.
Sauerbraten with a very easy DRS overtake on Patrick, swings the left-hand side of the track, says thank you very much, I'll have that position. Patrick, though, without any time penalty, Sauerbraten with 3 seconds to his name. He sees Krusak's up ahead. They are on level playing field now. So with both of the 3-second time penalties, he needs to run them down. Now Tudor and Seb up at the front, 1 and 2. If there's a safety car for some reason on the next 6 laps, obviously they're going to pit, but everyone else behind them certainly is going to have to pit for the most part, barring anyone going for a gamble, because it's also just be that much faster than the mediums on low fuel. Gelvin up to 12 seconds of penalties. He's down all the way in 13th. He's gotten overtaken by Max. He might have some damage. He might have picked up some damage on pit exit, which would explain his just lack of pace on the medium tire, because he has lost so much time to the cars he was battling previously. So he's certainly hoping for a safety car, along with everyone behind him as well. Heartbreak for the Ferrari team, who's looking to challenge for the constructors, but right now Jan Fehler, who's in net P1, 3rd place on track, as Tudor dives into the pits. Very early pit stop on the softs, but Jan Fehler now in that 2nd position, looking to bring home the constructors title along with the drivers.
I'll tell you what, he's in a great position to do just that. The Ferraris fighting it out. Galvan's down in 13th. F1 Racers up in 3rd. And then the 2 Williams, Patrick, and
ooh, look at the battle for
Darn.
5th here. Oh no, Patrick's around! Oh, there's a lot of contact! Patrick's into the wall. That's some damage, certainly to his rear wing. It looked like they were trying to go 3 wide into the corner, and Galaxy and Patrick came together, and the Williams driver off the track. I don't know how he kept his front wing out of the wall there, but his rear wing took a nice lick. So he might have some floor damage, he might have some rear wing damage, but that is heartbreak for the Williams driver, and that certainly knocks the Williams team out of Constructors' Championship hopes.
It's such a shame. That is absolutely heartbreaking. The other thing it's going to do, too, is it's going to put Ferrari in a position to leapfrog them in the Constructors' Championships. So they're not only going to be losing out on winning the Constructors, they're going to be losing out on the 2nd place. And Alfa Romeo, by the way, they are only 36 points back from the Williams teams as well. So they're running currently 4th and 8th. So that is, what, 4th and 7th now, as Ripson's actually made the pass. So, you know, there's a chance for, if Sauerbraten and Ripson can both crack into that top 5, that Williams could be looking at 4th place in the championship by the end of this race after Patrick's spin and Darn's unfortunate events. Patrick back up to P9 though. He's in the points at least, but Williams pretty much out of the Constructors' title right now.
Yeah, Tudor, meanwhile, he's ahead of Patrick as a result, running down Ripson. He's up into 8th place. He's the first one now on a fresh set of softs. Seb trying to make a move on Patrick, who he knows is going to be struggling. He doesn't know about Patrick spinning, but he's certainly going to be surprised that Patrick is all the way back there, seeing how far up the order he was at the time. But yes, Crucix has run down F1 Racer. F1 Racer not able to match Jan Fehler's pace. And it's looking like we're going to have a 2-car battle for second place. Now, Crucix is going to hope for F1 Racer to pick up a 3-second time penalty. But as it stands, Jan Fehler first, F1 Racer second. Then big margins behind as Seb finally makes the move on Patrick. Tudor goes purple on the softs. Can't say we are too surprised about that one.
No, and that's the danger, is that Patrick is going to lose out towards this soft compound tire as Galaxy gets by Sauerbraten, the Red Bull driver, just in front. Although, look at how close they are. Sauerbraten wants to have another go going down towards turn number 5, but nonetheless, beg your pardon, it's turn 6. Nonetheless, it is the Red Bull that stays just in front by a hair.
Sauerbraten and Galaxy already went side by side through the whole middle sector once this race. They almost did it again this time around. I mean, if you're Galaxy, you don't want to, you don't want to be too aggressive here when you're going side by side with Sauerbraten, because you do not have a time penalty. However, you need to stay within 3 seconds of Crucix up ahead, who meanwhile must have had an incident. I don't know if we caught that, but he was right with F1 Racer. Now he's 2.9 behind. Not sure what happened to the AlphaTauri driver.
No, I didn't see it either. That's a good point, but certainly Crucix is going to be loving the fact that Galaxy and Sauerbraten are just doing nothing but fight. Tudor actually just set the fastest lap, and then it's Field Racing Seb that set the fastest lap of the race in a 108.6. So those softs doing the work. Patrick gets by Max to get back into the points. Gelbawan, Gelbawan speeding in the pit lane. That Ferrari pretty much out of the equation. He's had to pit for a nose change despite being on the medium compound tire, so now he's had a 2-stopper, and that's pushed that Ferrari out of constructor. So really now the Ferrari's hopes is going to be on F1 Racer, who is, by the way, doing very well. He's up into 2nd place.
Yeah, but he's not 6.1. I wonder if he had a coming together with Crucix, because Jan Fehler is just pulling away at light speed amounts. So as it stands right now, Jan Fehler just dominating this race at the front. F1 Racer holding on to 2nd place. Crucix still got a gap, enough of a gap to Sauerbraten behind, but Galaxy's the one he's going to have to be concerned about, because Galaxy does not have the time penalty. But Galaxy got overtaken by Sauerbraten through the middle sector last time around, so he's going to look to once again clear the Alfa Romeo. As if you recall, well, actually you might not recall, but while you were gone at the Chinese Grand Prix, Galaxy got robbed of his first podium of the season as they crossed the line again by Jan Fehler. So he's very, very hungry for his first podium of the season. He knows Crucix has a penalty. He knows Sauerbraten has a penalty. So he can see that he's in 5th place, and that if he can stay within 3 seconds of Crucix, he will have that podium. And he's got Kevjanites behind, so he needs to stay within 3 seconds, because he wants that podium. He is so close. He just needs to nail it.
Are you saying he got Ocon at the Chinese Grand Prix?
He did. So. Out of the final corner.
That's heartbreaking when that happens. That is the cruelty of racing sometimes. But the cruelty of racing seen very well here today for Williams. Ooh, that's a really mighty loose rear from Kevjanetics coming out of the final turn. So it's allowed Goat Tudor to get the position for free, and Goat's probably not going to be giving it back because he's on that soft compound tire.
Yeah. Speaking of the, that is racing, Tudor on the fresh softs versus Galaxy on a little bit of older medium tires. That's going to be very hard to Galaxy to keep the Haas driver behind with the fresh rubber. But Galaxy instead is going to go for the move on Sauerbraten up the inside turn 4. Easy as you'd like. Sauerbraten might try to go back at him, but he's got Tudor also to worry about. Both drivers, all 3 drivers really struggling for battery here. Sauerbraten, makes a little bit of rear contact with Galaxy. He's going to be side by side with Tudor, who's going to go up the inside of the Alfa Romeo. They're going to go side by side, a little bit of wheel banging. Tudor gets a little squirmy. Sauerbraten still is the inside line. Now it pushes Tudor into the grass. They're still making contact, but they're still side by side now into 10. leaving each other barely enough space. That's allowing Galaxy to try to pull away, but Tudor is going to have more grip, go around the outside into 11, and have the position. What a nice battle there. A little aggressive, a little bit of wheel bang, a little bit of elbows, but Tudor comes out on top.
Just good hard racing between the two of them, really. And now Sauerbrotten's got to be worried about Kev Genetics, who really is looking to get all on his tail here. Went down into turn 1. Tudor now being pressured by Galaxy. He's trying to get ahead of him, or he's trying to stay ahead of him, I should say. But Tudor, nice moves. He's up into P4 now. And he's going to have to try and pull away from these medium compound tire runners as, again, the Red Bull looks towards getting the position back on this Haas. But really, really strong racing from Tudor. And we'll see if he can now pull away from the medium compound runners, because if he can, he's going to be free to try and run down Krusix. And on them soft tires, you'd have to fancy his chances, certainly.
Well, this lap here is crucial right now. Galaxy needs to keep DRS range on Tudor, because obviously Tudor is going to should be faster than Krusix at this stage. We have a yellow flag in sector 1. That's Flouty, who's off into the grass. It's hard to tell if he has any damage from the camera angles that we're getting right now. Doesn't look like he has any damage. Green flag underway. But back to Galaxy. He's in DRS range. He will have DRS on Tudor. He needs Tudor to pull them along, because Tudor should have the overspeed on Krusix up ahead. Seb, meanwhile, is at the back of this train now, trying to make a move on Ripson for P8. Ripson, who's had a nice recovery, he's going to have to defend for his life on a soft tire runner. Meanwhile, Seb's teammate Kev trying to go up the inside of Sauerbraten. So the Alpine's pressuring the Alfa Romeos. It's Haas, Red Bull, Alfa Romeo, Alpine, Alfa Romeo, Alpine. We have ourselves a very, very good battle from 4th all the way down to 9th, with the fastest tired compound runners at the front and back of this train.
Yeah, absolutely. Action all over the place in this midfield. They said the midfield is something to worry or to keep an eye on in the constructors. It's been something to keep an eye on here on track all afternoon long, because this has been absolutely fantastic fighting between these cars. Go Tudor. Still needing to really find a way to increase this gap, especially in this middle sector where he should just have the grip. He should just have the difference between him and Galaxy. He just does not seem able to put the full second between him and the Red Bull behind him. So Galaxy will have DRS yet again going down towards turn 1. And he is going to be trying to keep close to this Haas, who is trying to wheel in. He's trying to pull in Krusix, but he's not gaining a lot of time on him, Fizzy.
No, he's really not. Really struggling for pace right now. Seb, though, gets the move done on Ripson into turn number 1. But remember, Tudor came in at end of lap 19, start lap 20. So those tires are now 9 laps old. You know, he's seen better days with that. Kev tries to go up the inside of Sauerbraten. That does not work out. But you look at the tires. We have a yellow flag. That's Gelbman, who spun around coming out of turn number 13, probably overheated the tires, and is able to keep it going. No damage by the looks of it, but the Ferrari driver now down in last position. There's
also a yellow flag in sector 1. Rivershawn has clunked his front wing off into one of the walls. No safety car, no BSC, but no front wing for Rivershawn. So he'll have to go all the way around and then pit again. And I'll tell you what, it's pushed Darn. That's going to push Darn up into P12 once he gets around into the pits. And I'll tell you what, any other incidents, and you could be looking at Darn squeaking back in for a point or two.
Yeah, definitely do not count him out. We've got a nice battle here for 10th between Max and Patrick. However, Max has a time penalty. Patrick trying to go around the outside, does not find it work. Max hangs on this time around, but Patrick will have the overspeed. So we watch the rear wing and now watch the TV cam of Max. You see Patrick's going to have that little bit of overspeed. It's a 3.5 gap, but Patrick's not actually going to really push the battery and try to make the overtake this time into turn number 4. Lap 29 and 36. Jan Fehler leading the way, 8.3 seconds ahead of F1 Racer, who has got 2.5 and a penalty on Krusix. Tudor, down in 4th, has not closed up any time on Krusix up ahead. Rivershawn has retired from the session, but in the pit lane. So that will not bring out a safety car. It brings out a brief yellow flag, but that, of course, as we know, is a visual glitch. So, carrying on, Joy Gelbavan now up to 20 seconds in time penalties.
Wow, That's quite a lot, I gotta
It
say.
is.
Nonetheless, it's still the train between Tudor and really Field Racing Seb. Ripson's kind of fallen off the back of this train. He's trying to get back in towards the back of it. He was just outside a second for a time being. He is actually now, I don't know if Ripson, who just picked up a time penalty, by the way, for track extension, I don't know if he's going to get DRS, so he might not, and that might be the first of the cars to really break away from this midfield pack, and it could be Ripson at the back. Still, Tudor doing well to maintain the pace out in front. 9-lap-old softs. He's still got 7 laps to run on them, so they're going to be really pretty much at the very edge of their life coming towards the checkered flag. But we'll see if he's got enough to stay ahead of Galaxy here.
Yeah, on the first stint,
trying to pressure him.
On the first stint, we saw the medium tires come to life versus the soft tires towards the end there. Will we see the same happen here? If Galaxy has enough battery, has enough left in his tires, he might try to go for a late move on Tudor. He's kept the DRS range. And unfortunately, because of the gap from Crucix to Tudor, it will not be for a podium spot, but it would still be for a position. You just see the overspeed that Galaxy has on Tudor going into turn number 1 now. Through the Senna S's, Galaxy doing everything he can. He's got a very quick Alfa Romeo and Sauerbraten, and then 2 Alpines behind him. So Galaxy goes to the left-hand side of the track, goes for the move on Tudor, up the inside into turn number 4, and he has the position easy as you'd like. Now just hoping for Crucix to pick up another time penalty. Can you do me a favor, Benny? Look up how many warnings Crucix has, in particular after the penalty. I don't want to jinx him, but is it possible that he could pick up another 3-second time penalty today?
I'll see. I'll get right on that. So it's Crucix after the penalty. Well, how many penalties does he have? He just has 1, right?
Yes, he has the 3-second time penalty, so it's a matter of how many warnings does he have. And is it possible that he could lose out more?
He has none. He has no. Oh, I'm sorry. I beg your pardon. He has 1. He has 1 warning on lap 23 after his penalty. So his penalty was lap 7, and he has 1 warning on lap 23. So he's got a little bit of room to work with.
Alrighty, thank you for that. I mean, Galaxy has lost a decent amount of time to Crucix on this lap, but we have a very feisty battle in the background. Tudor, Sauerbraten, Kev, and Field Racing Seb all looking to get moves on the car ahead of them. But Galaxy has enough pace at the front, and everyone's got enough pace with their DRS in tow to keep with it. Man, this is coming down to the wire. When Jan Fehler crossed the line, it'll be 4 laps to go. On a heck of a season. It's been very, very entertaining. Kev, X, and Seb actually going side by side, the Alpine teammates leaving each other room. Seb has the inside line on his teammate going through turn number 10, but Kev is not going to give up the place easy. No team orders here at Alpine, and Seb has the place up into 7th, Kev down into 8th. Now Seb on the move. He does not have a time penalty, so he's going to get 6th place from Sauerbraten by virtue of that. But he can still get a top 4 and get around Tudor, get around Galaxy if he still has enough life in those soft tires, as he did not pit as early as Tudor. But there's still 10+ old lap, old soft. Sauerbraten trying to go around the outside of Tudor. But a little bit of contact, argy-bargy. That might open the door for Seb up the inside on Sauerbraten. Sauerbraten kind of boxed in a little bit behind the Haas. And Seb up into 6th place. Tudor giving Sauerbraten a little bit of tow. Oh, and there's contact on the apex of the corner. Seb is round. Seb is round. Sauerbraten was trying to squeeze Seb onto the apex. Tudor also trying to block both of them out of it, and Seb came out worth. It's heartbreak for the Alpine team. We also have a slow Williams. That is Darn, who must have had a spin on his hard tires. And it is just heartbreak for multiple drivers that lap.
Yeah, a lot of contact. You can see how absolutely hungry all those drivers were going down into turn 1. And eventually, the contact was made. Darn is out of the session. He is retired in the pits. So unfortunate for the Williams team. They're down to 1 driver, and that's Patrick, and he's outside the points right now. So Seb, though, down in 9th. He is falling off the train.
Tudor and Sauerbraten making contact on the apex of turn number 1. Tudor squeezing Cyberbrotten onto the apex, getting a little bit of aggressive here, folks. Let's keep it a little nice and tidy. Ripson trying to get around his teammate. Cyberbrotten for 6th place, but elbows out with 3 laps to go. Less than that now at this point.
Yeah, Sauerbrotten and Ripson fighting. It's not going to be good for their constructors. 14 points for Alfa Romeo. It won't be enough to leapfrog them anywhere. But the fighting from Alpine and Seb going around is going to keep Alfa Romeo in 4th in the constructors. Meanwhile, Ripson making the move. Side by side, actually, with these two teammates. They have to be careful not to take each other out. And yeah, Ripson does get 6th place. So the two Alfa Romeos absolutely can go and have a fight with each other for these last few laps. The Sauerbrotten got a little loose coming out of that turn, and that's going to open the door for Kepchenex to make a pass. He's right on the rear. He's eventually going to go for the lunge towards the outside. Does he have enough going down into turn 1? And it's almost 3 wide down there, but no, it's just not enough. Kev is going to remain in 8th.
Very, very close. You can see Ripson, they play a little bit of team tactics there. Ripson gave Sauerbrotten the toe to help Sauerbrotten defend from the Alpine driver. He's not going to look up the inside, but backs out of it at the last second. Here on lap 35. Now, we haven't talked about him a lot all race long because it's just been a dominant performance. But Jan Fehler right now with a lap and a sector to go. 10.7 seconds clear from the rest of the field, looking to bring home yet another race victory on the season and his first race win as going into the race as an AOR F1 champion. 1 lap to go, white flag as he crosses the line this time, but certainly this race is not over. Krusix has run down F1 Racer with no time penalties. However, you never know if F1 Racer will end up getting one late here in the race. Krusix still probably going to go for a lunge, maybe up the inside in the turn number 1. He's got the overspeed, backs out of it at the last second. In the background, Tudor is very, very close to Galaxy, and the Red Bull is going to go to the left-hand side of the track. Have them move easy as you'd like as they cross the start-finish line. Tudor up in the 4th, Galaxy down in the 5th. Back to Krusix, though. He's going to the inside of F1 Racer. Inside of turn number 4, he is through the Alpha driver easy as like. F1 Racer thinking no point in fighting this. He has time penalty. Speaking of penalties, Galaxy once again clearing Tudor into turn number 4. Tudor trying to fight back right now on his soft compound tires. He's going to look to go maybe around the outside to turn number 6. He would need the grip, but no. He does not have the grip at the stage. Patrick with another time penalty. Actually, with his first time penalty, excuse me. That puts him on level playing field as Max. It will actually drop him out of the points. He will not benefit there. But up at the front, Jan Fehler with an absolute dominant performance to mark his championship season. Wins in Brazil. Runs out of fuel as he crosses the line. Krusix will come home 2nd on track, but he will lose out to F1 Racer. He actually ran out of fuel as well as he crossed the line. He crashes his car as he crossed the line. F1 Racer comes home in 2nd. But here's where it goes. Tudor trying to get Galaxy, trying to pip him at the line. This is for 4th place. Oh, no, not again. And Galaxy gets passed at the line for the 2nd time in 3 races. Galaxy gets trauma, finishes in 5th. Sauerbrotten in 6th. Kepchenex 7th. Seb manages 8th place. Ripson down in 9th due to penalties. Max rounds out the points. Oh, that is heartbreak for Galaxy. I feel so bad for him. That's the 2nd time in 3 races he's been beat at the line. But it's Jan Fehler on top of the podium, on top of the world here in Sao Paulo. F1 Racer in 2nd, and Krusix rounding out the podium.
What an absolutely crazy race. And what a way to end the season, really. A fantastic way to end the season in Brazil. A lot of action, but wow, really is just a fantastic performance from some drivers overall. And now I gotta say here, Fizzy, who is your driver of the day?
That's gonna be a tough one. I think I'm gonna have to go. It's a real tricky one, because at one point, yeah, Jan Fehler did not put a foot wrong at the front. You know, he didn't gain positions, but he started from pole and just absolutely pulled away. You have Ripson, who was all the way down in last place, but recovered very, very nicely. I don't know. It's very tricky. I might have to go with Kepchenex. I mean, the game gave it to him. He got 9 positions in the race. He was having internet issues. He did not have a time in qualifying, but he worked his way up in the field and came home, I believe, in 7th. So very good result, but there's a lot of choices here. I think I'm going to go with Kev on this one by virtue of how many overtakes he had. Did not put a foot wrong and got some decent points for the Alpine team.
Absolutely. I'm going to go with Go Tudor, who's had pretty much about the same. Tudor putting that Haas in 11th and riding it up to 4th at the line as well. So fantastic race from him. Could have certainly, like you said, just given it to Jan because he's just absolutely been flawless today. And he is going to be our race winner, the champion, winning out the last race of the season. Fantastic performance from him. F1 Racers second, Krusix third, Tudor, Galaxy, Sour Rotten, Kev Genetics, Seb, Ribson, Max, your top 10. Outside the points, it's Patrick, Gelbawan, Flouty, Armate, Darn with the DNF, and then Rivershawn as well with a DNF. So fantastic performance, fantastic season, Fizzymon, rounded off by an excellent race here in Brazil.
Yes, absolutely fantastic season. You're absolutely right. Jan Fehler brings it home one last time for the McLaren team, which wins the Constructors. They hang on without having their second driver here for this one. So, fantastic job for the McLaren team. Congratulations. Heartbreak, though, for the Williams team, who were so close to winning the Constructors and only managed to come home in 3rd place this season. Right before we get to our interviews, we're going to have a couple thank yous. Thank you for our sponsors sponsoring us throughout the season. Thank you for Elgato. Be sure to visit Elgato's website for more information about their amazing stream deck and their other products that they have to offer. Thank you to SimSock. Don't just use any socks when driving in your league or endurance races. Use the socks that will give you the edge. With SimSock's gripping technology, you'll eliminate any issues where your feet might slip off the gas or the brake, giving you the competitive edge over your rivals. Be sure to check them out at simsock.com today. And thank you to Driver61. Driver61 is a renowned content creator whom you may have seen on YouTube. It is a brilliant channel for learning more about the science behind racing. He also offers coaching sessions with 25% off a consultation session plus a free coaching session when you use code AOR Driver61. That is code AOR Driver61. Learn more today at driver61.com. Very good stuff. Thank you to our sponsors. Couldn't have done it without you. Like I've said previously, and I'll say it once again, Driver61 has definitely helped a couple of my friends when it comes to finding a couple tenths per lap when it just comes to overall racecraft. SimSock, I will be getting socks officially. It's just a matter of when they arrive. They got ordered for me for Christmas, and it's just a matter of how long it takes for them to ship over the Atlantic. And Elgato, plenty of big name streamers use their stream deck and other stuff, so be sure to check them out. Now, Benny, we have Galaxy and Tudor, and then Fehler. So who would you like to bring into the box first?
Bring in our race winner and the F1 champion of not only Brazil, but the champion of AOR, Jan Fehler. Fehler, pretty straightforward race, man. I don't know what all this spinning out, colliding, all that stuff is about, man. You just pretty straightforward today. It looked like.
Yeah, thanks for the warm welcome. Yeah, that was exactly as I was planned. No heroics into turn 1, even though if it's not Monaco. No safety cars at weird timings. And even though I struggled to get away from F1 Racer at the start in the opening laps, eventually I managed it, and then, I was just blasting to the finish, and I was really having a great time out there. I love Brazil, man. It's such a flowing track. It's fantastic to drive.
I mean, you looked like you enjoyed it. You did not put a foot wrong all race long. We actually didn't really get to see you that much because all the action was happening behind. Now, in the first stint on the softs, it looked like you had the edge, of course, over the rest of the field. That was for sure. But on the second stint in mediums, you really, really gapped it. Do you feel that like you were just nailing every single lap? Was it a setup thing, or do you just think that even you were making mistakes and they just happened to make more mistakes than you? Like what were your thoughts on that second stint? Because that's really where you stretched your legs and just ran away with it.
I think my setup maybe is a bit more suited for the medium tire than the soft tire. But yeah, I just felt a lot more confident on the mediums, because especially in the end on those softs when they started overheating slightly and they slide a bit more around when you have wear on them, I struggle to get in a good rhythm with that and always outbrake myself just broke a bit too late, basically into every corner, missed the apexes here and there. So I think it's more that I drove well in the second stint rather than the others making mistakes, and it was more like myself making mistakes in the first stint. And that was basically the difference why I guess it looked better on the second one.
That makes sense. Now, you guys did win the constructor, so McLaren was able to hang on, even though you were by yourself today. So congratulations there. It's been a long, hard-fought season. Unfortunately, I don't have the question to ask you how you feel about next race. I guess the better question is, what are you going to do in your time off in these next month or whatever, however long, until the season starts up again? You just going to sit back and relax and reset, or try to keep the momentum going, keep racing, and just carry on full speed into next season?
Conveniently, I have all my exams for university in January, which is break month, obviously, so that fits perfectly. And once that is gone, AOR, I guess, will come back at some point in February, right? So that's what I'm going to be doing. First off, of course, I'll try to enjoy Christmas and New Year's Eve and all that fast that's going on. And not play F1 too much, I guess, you know. Obviously, occasionally I will jump on and do some laps, but all in all, I think I'll just take a break and focus on my exams and then come back freshly recovered in F1 terms, at least, for the next season.
Gotcha. Well, congratulations. Bennett, you got any more questions here for our champion of season 22, tier number 1?
Not really. Just enjoy the time off, mate. Congratulations on having won both. I don't know. Definitely get yourself like a massage and throw your back on the heating pad after carrying the constructors championship for so long this season. But no, congratulations, mate, and enjoy the time off.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you too as well for commentating. You know, always been there. I mean, at least Fizzy always. I mean, I understand Benikage. You know, I wasn't even aware that at the start of the season that you were also planned on being commentator. But of course, it's very, very good to see two guys in the commentary box for most of the season. So thank you too for keeping that, and I hope you're around for next season as well.
That's the plan. That's the plan.
Definitely.
Yeah, very cool. So yeah, thank you guys, and yeah, have a good time off yourselves.
Thank you. You too, Jan. Cheers.
Bye.
So that was Jan Fehler, our champion of tier number 1. He's not our only interview for today. Next up, we're going to go ahead and bring in Galaxy. Galaxy, you had a really, really strong race. You kept the form going after not a great qualifying session. Obviously, we had the heartbreak on the line, but let's go back to the other 35 laps of the race. You had a decent start of the race, and you were battling a lot with Sauerbraten through the first and second stint. Did you just feel? Talk us through the race, really. Talk us through what was going through your head, how it was going, because you were just picking off cars left and right as the race went on.
I started after quali. I thought I didn't really have the pace to keep up with top 5 or so, and then the start was quite surprised that I can get up to 7th, I think. And yeah, then I recognized that I have quite good pace, and I thought I could go a bit quicker than the guys in front of me, but it's hard to go through a DRS train of 3 or 4 cars, so I was a bit stuck. And yeah, I just tried to keep up and maybe get something out of battles that will happen in front of me. And yeah, it was unfortunately what happened with Patrick mid-race. I don't really know what happened there, but he just ghosted, and then a second later he crashed. Didn't really know what happened there, but I was also surprised to keep up with Tudor after he overtook me, and I think we both managed the last 10 laps quite good, and it was unfortunate that he got me by, I think, 86,000 in the end.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking again. That's already messaged to you. I felt bad for that, so I'm trying to avoid that at all costs because it's never fun to get pipped at the line once, let alone twice this season. But we'll go back and look at the battles you had with Sauerbraten. In particular, you had at least one time when you guys were side by side for like the whole middle section for the most part. In a battle like that, when you were going through those battles, did you feel that like no matter what, I have to win out here, and you were just leaving as little space as possible, or were you just like, well, just see how this happens, and if I lose the position, I lose the position? What's the mentality there?
I just tried to overtake him, so I wanted to make progress, and I recognized that he doesn't use ERS on the second straight. And as I was close, I tried to overtake him, but I thought if I get him, I'll get him. If not, then not. So yeah, I think it was quite nice to watch, but it was hard to be side by side through the middle sector. This is not usual for me to go with two cars through the sector.
Yeah, definitely not something you normally do, but you still made it work. Came home in 5th place after starting in 10th, so you drove a heck of a race. Benny, you got any questions here for the Red Bull driver?
Yeah, what are your aspirations for next season? I mean, you've had 3 straight top 5 finishes, so your form towards the end of the season has been very good. You definitely shown you got quite a bit of pace, so you definitely show you can race pretty hard when push comes to shove. So, what are your aspirations going into next season?
I hope I can compete again in Taiwan, and maybe get a better season than this. I think the end was quite good, but beginning and midway through the season, it didn't really go my way, and maybe next season it'll be better.
I guess we will see. Well, Galaxy, you had a really strong end of the season, and it was a good overall season for you. Congratulations on getting through it. Congratulations on the top 5 once again. We look forward to seeing you next season because, I mean, you showed some fantastic race pace. I mean, your quality, you know, it may not have always been there, as you said earlier on, but your race pace has certainly been one to watch. Congratulations, and we hope you come back next season. And I hope to be commentating over you once we get to race number 1 for season 23.
Thank you. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Cheers, Galaxy. Have a safe, happy, and healthy rest of your year, and we look forward to seeing you back next year.
Thanks. Bye.
So that was Galaxy. We have one more interview for the day. We're going to go ahead and bring in Tudor. Tudor, you did not have the best of qualifying. Not sure if you aimed for P11, but you made it work. You were fast enough on the mediums to make the reverse strategy work, and you came home in 4th place after pipping Galaxy at the line. Were you surprised by just how much pace you had on the softs versus the other drivers on the mediums? Or is it vice versa, were you just surprised with how much pace you had on the mediums at the start versus the drivers on the softs?
Hello guys. Wow, what a race. Let's start with qualifying. Yeah, didn't aim for P11. I actually had 2 runs on the soft tires. First run was the time that I set. The second time, second stint, I don't remember what I did, but I messed up the lap. I think I invalidated in the Senna S's, and that was my second chance ruined. And yeah, I ended up in the strategic pole position, which wasn't so strategic because the mediums at the start weren't the best tire to be on. I just didn't have the pace to keep up with the cars ahead, and I lost ground overall. But yeah, I kept on to P9, I think, before everyone boxed, and yeah, then boxed for softs, and they felt amazing. I had so much grip. I was catching the cars ahead by a second a lap. That felt amazing. Honestly, like you said, I was surprised on the pace that I had on the softs compared to mediums. So yeah, I just caught up everyone, overtook everyone till I got to P4 ahead of Galaxy. After that, I had Kruzix ahead at 4 seconds, 3.9 seconds. He had a 3-second time penalty, so I knew a podium was on the table because I had the pace compared to everyone on mediums, and so I wanted to push on, but I just saw on my MFD on my display that the fuel icon turned yellow as soon as I got into that 4th place, and I looked and I was now on I didn't have enough fuel to go to the end of the race. So firstly, I tried to pull away from Galaxy, get him out of DRS while lifting coasting, saving fuel. I couldn't do that. I was still losing fuel. And so as soon as I got to like around minus point 0.1 fuel, I decided there's no chance I can catch Kruzik's, save fuel, and finish the race. And so I just decided to P4 is enough. I'll just fall back into Galaxy's clutches, let him overtake me, stay behind him, save the fuel, lift and coast, and then try and overtake him at the end, which worked out quite well. Uh, the softs really hanged on compared to other races. I still was faster than everyone on mediums with those softs, but yeah, the main problem was the fuel, and it was that because I was aiming on a safety car at least, or on a virtual safety car, so that's why I ended up in this situation.
Gotcha. Yeah, definitely a very good race summary you had there. Kind of eliminated some of the questions we might have had for you, but you had a fantastic race here today. Well, Benny, do you have any questions for Tutor first off?
Yeah, look, solid race. You solidified top 4 in the championship. I mean, uh, what are your plans for next season? Do you think this is a league that you can break into the top 3, top 2? You think you could maybe be a contender for the title? How do you measure yourself after the season that you've had?
Well, it was a really strong season. I wasn't expecting to be this quick. Definitely could have gone better with more consistent results, but all in all, I was really surprised to be this uh, this close to the top guys with 2 race wins under my belts. I was honestly aiming just for a podium this season, but I got that in Baku. Then I got the win in Belgium, and then again the win in Britain, and yeah, my pace was really strong, but yeah, no consistency.
Well, Tutor, it's going to be a very, very. It was a very, very, very good season. You came home. I actually have to do some math. Did you get into the? You were 5th place in the championship. Now, F1 Racer stayed ahead. You did not get around Sauerbrot, and Ripson only got 2 points his name. So I believe you came home in 5th in the Drivers' Championship, barring
Yeah, that
anything
is true.
else. So still a very good season. Do you think you can build off of that over the winter and into next year?
I'm hoping I can. I mean, that is the target. If I showed this pace now, uh, the only way I think is up, and so I'll try to aim to be as close as I can to Jan, because I think that's the target for all of us in the league, to be at Jan's level. So yeah, I'll just see if I can get close to that.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing what you have next season, season 23. Congratulations today. You drove a very, very good race. Came home in 4th place
Thank
and
you.
made it work with the fuel. We look forward to seeing you next season for season 23 on track and hopefully bringing plenty of more action for us here in the commentary booth.
Thank you, and thank you guys also for commentating. You guys have done an amazing job throughout the season, and yeah, I can't wait to hear you guys again next season.
Do count on it. Cheers, Tutor. Have a safe, happy, wonderful rest of your year. Have a happy Merry
You too.
Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we look forward to seeing you back here next time for season 23.
Thank you. You too, guys. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye bye.
Cheers. All right, Benny. It's been a fun season. 13 rounds, not the full 17-round season that we wanted, be due to game issues. Got any closing remarks here for the fans out there as we wrap up season 23?
Yeah, I actually was going to ask you if you have a overtake of the season that you remember particularly and think was fantastic.
Oh man, you're gonna really make me pick my memory. Oh, there was one race where there was some very, very good overtaking. I don't think it was Britain. Ooh.
Do you want me to go with mine? Maybe it'll jog your memory.
Yeah, go with
It
yours.
might not be yours, but I think overtake of the season has to be Ripson on Jan Fehler going up the hill at Monaco side by side and finishing the move at Casino Square.
That
And
was
that
a
is
really good one.
fantastic.
I think there was one someone pulled off at like Portugal or Monza. I think that I liked slightly more. I'd have to look it up, but I mean, there are a lot of really, really good overtakes right on the outside, up the inside, very late moves, plenty of very, very good battling this season. So it's really hard for me to pinpoint one, but that Monaco one, that was probably. I mean, that has to be top 5. That move was splendid. And Ripson, that's when he really said, "Hey, I'm here." You know, it was a statement win for him. You know, he had second place in the first race, came home in 4th in Spain, but then Monaco, he had the hammer down and came home in first place.
Yeah. And I would say he can look forward to 1 million jelly beans in the mail.
Yes, so. Oh, I cannot wait for season 23, but my voice could definitely use a rest. I don't know about you, but it is definitely been a long season. Next season should be just as fun. It's going to be probably about 14 to 16 races. We'll be at all the tracks that we didn't get to hit this season, plus a couple more. Thank you, everyone, for watching. It's been another feature presentation for Apex Online Racing. We'll be back tonight. Benikage will be with Tipster in the booth for the final race of the season for the PC America's F1 League. The Constructors Championship for that has been wrapped up, but the Drivers is still wide open. And that'll all be here at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. UK time. Stay tuned for that. Keep an eye on the AOR YouTube channel for any other content we have coming out the rest of this year. I don't believe there is anything else on the ACC side of things, but of course we will be back next year as the start of the new year with season 23 and plenty of more content here on AOR. I am Fizzymon. Alongside me one last time for this season is Benikage, and we look forward to season 23. We hope everyone listening here has a safe, happy, healthy rest of your year. We hope to see you back here at 8 p.m. British Standard Time once we begin season 23 here on the AOR YouTube channel. Thank you and have a wonderful night.
Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely stream deck. For more information about the stream deck, the link is in the description below.